So welcome back guys, this is Madhav PVL and today we are going to discuss about the characteristics of a database approach. So before that we need to just know some things which we will just learn deeper in our next videos. So we use structured query language, that is SQL, to access these commands like to add new info into a database, to view or retrieve the stored info, or to modify or edit the existing info, or to remove or delete the unwanted info. So to use all these functions we use this SQL language. Basically these are some of the commands which we can just see here: insert into, select, alter, modify, drop, delete, and then truncate. So whatever it may be, these are some of the commands which we can just use in this SQL language. So we will just learn about them in the upcoming videos. So now let us just get into today's topic, that is characteristics of a database approach. So database has some basic characteristics which need to be maintained in a proper database to run it smoothly. So the first one is the self-describing nature of our database system. So there should be some difference, right? So there should be some difference in between the file system and then database. So these are some of the differences or the characteristics of a database approach which we may not find in this file system. So self-describing nature of a database system. So basically a database DBMS catalog stores the description of a particular database. So we need to just mention the file format if we need to just save it in a file system. So we can just see, like, if we just use this, if we need to just store this, there will be some file format, so we need to store it like that. Whereas in this DBMS, it will access any type of files. So in Google Drive we may just keep any types of file in that, no matter what is its format. So DBMS catalog stores the description of a particular database. So its data structure and types are stored in this DBMS catalog. So this is called as a metadata description. So this is a word which we will just use for the purpose of this DBMS file storage. So this is called as a metadata description. To work with different database applications, so to work with a different database application, we will use this self-describing nature of a database system. So it will just sort out the things which is required. So we can just say, like, if we need only the MP4 format, then if we just sort it out in that option, there will be like sort. If we just place it like an MP4, then it will just only gives the videos which were present with this MP4 format. So this is self-describing nature of a database system. So let us just get into the next one, that is isolation in between the programs and data, called as a program data independent. So it is basically, we can just say, like, if we just try to change the program, so we can just say, like, in a Google Drive it is providing some online cloud editors like Google Docs or whatever it may be, Google Slides. So we can just change it in online. So it doesn't make any change in this whole database system. The link which is given to the shareable initially, that will be same. So if you just try to change the data in it, nothing will happen, just the memory space will get increased. So that is isolation in between the programs and the data. So basically if we just change the data structure and storage organization without changing the DBMS access program, so the whole database management system doesn't change if we just change this data structures or the storage organization. So this is between this isolation between the programs and the data. And the third one is a data abstraction. So what is data abstraction? So data abstraction is a data model which is used to hide the storage details and present the user with a conceptual view. So basically every information regarding a system need not be given to the user. It is not required for the user to just reveal all the secrets of a system. That's not a very big secret, but revealing everything is very tough, so it should not be revealed. So some of the storage details will be hidden from the user. So that can be done with the help of this data abstraction. So a data model is used to hide the storage to hide the storage details and present the user with a conceptual view. So support of a multiple views of the data. So each user may see a different view which describes only the data of an interest to that user. So let us just consider an example. If we just use this Word file, so here we can just see like share document. So if we just share the document, we need to just save it in the cloud, that is in our OneDrive. So after saving it in the OneDrive, it will just generate a link. So after giving the link to many people, some people will be in the page number 3, some will be in the page number 2, some will be in the page number 1, some will be editing something, like someone will copy and someone will paste and someone will cut, someone will delete the page. So whatever it may be, there will be 3 types of views. So basically there will be 3 types of views. So view level is nothing but the place where the user 1 is just looking. So user 1 will look at first page, 2 will look at n page, 3 will look at n plus 1 page. So whatever it may be, view level is important. So that is one type, one point. And the second one is a logical view. So logical view is nothing but cut, copy, paste or whatever it may be. So everything will be done by this individual user. So everything will be changed at a particular time. Within some time intervals, the whole data gets changed. That is the logical view, whereas the physical view is nothing but how the data is stored. So basically physical view is, we can just say like if one person pastes some data at the page 2, then the other person also should get that update, right? So it will just come in some certain intervals of time. So this is about support for the multiple views of the data. So multiple user can access the same data within a particular intervals of time with some updation. So this is all about the multiple views of a data. Whereas coming to this fifth one, sharing of data and multi-user transaction process. So basically we can just say like sharing of data and multi-user transaction process. This is nothing but sharing the links. So we can just say like in our old days we used to just carry some movies or whatever it may be with the help of a pen drive. So now pen drive is replaced by this Google Drive. So we will just upload the direct video into a Google Drive and we will just share the shareable link to the people whoever we need to just share those videos. So we can just share that shareable link, and with that shareable link they can just view or even they can just download. So sharing of the data and multi-user transaction process, this will just save the data. If we just share these links, the data will get saved. So that is a sharing of a data, allowing a set of current user to retrieve and to update database. So they can if we just give them access to add some more files, then it will just allow some concurrent users to just update the database. They can add some more videos for our views. So this is all about the first point. And then the second point is concurrent control within the DBMS guarantees that each transaction is currently executed. So it will have concurrent control in a DBMS guarantees each transaction is correctly executed. This is we can just say like each transaction will be recorded in this cloud system. We can just say like if user 1 cuts the data, then it will be saved in step 1 and step 2 and step 3 and step 4, and finally before saving the data all the steps will be evaluated. If there is any error, then it will just pose an error like this is an invalid step which is done by an user. So this is all about the concurrency control within DBMS. Each transaction is currently executed. So each transaction has its effects permanently recorded in the database. So permanently recorded in the database, this is just for the purpose of the security. And then data replacement, if there is any wrong step, then it will just tell that this transaction is wrong. So OLTP is online transaction process, major part of this application. So we can just say like per second there may be 100 number of transactions which were occurring in a particular bank. So there will be only one person, a computer operator, who will just accept all these transactions. So online transaction process is nothing but it will have a unique ID generated code. So it will just give the data to whatever account it is required. So it will just divide the things up in this cloud storage, and the process will be done in the cloud only. Directly the data will just get into this bank account. So this is all about this OLTP, which is not much more required. So these are are characteristics of a database approach. So we will just discuss some more points in our next videos. So thanks for watching Works After College, guys. Please subscribe to my channel.